Good morning, everyone. It is March 24th. Let me just quickly address the elephant in the room, if I may. So I was going for a little bit of a fun project, and I was at the store picking up something, and I saw on the bottom shelf by the very bottom, just for men, beard coloring, and I was like, my grays are getting a bit gray. There's kind of a zebra thing happening with my beard, and people always say, "Oh, you should try that." And so I was like, "Yeah, let's try that." So I went and I got the medium brown color for the beard. And so I came home. My son actually saw it on the counter. He's like, "What is this?" And he's very like anything that involves, science, chemicals, any of that thing. He gets really intrigued. So of course he's like, "Well, I want to help you." So, we go and we're doing the whole beard thing. We're painting it in. It's a lot of fun. And let me just say, when they say 5 minutes, when they say 5 minutes, they mean 5 minutes. Because I think we're looking at about 8 minutes of color setting on the beard there, and it's very, very dark now. And so, I'm gonna go with the whole Blackbeard thing. You can't have resistance and revolution without the R. Okay. So yeah, it's quite dark. I actually really like it. I feel much younger. I have to be honest with you. I don't know. I typically do not subscribe to Projects of Vanity, but I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and I do like the no zigzags. If I'm being honest with you, so time comes for all of us. Eventually, you're gonna have to make that decision. Am I gonna have to paint in the grays or not? And I'm not quite yet ready to fully move to embrace the grays. As this hair on the top goes down and turns into my beard, it's a project of vanity, but I like it. It's fun. Good morning, everyone. So now that that's out of the way, it is March 24th, and let's get into the news. It's really good to be back. Here's some fun things that happened today. Uh, well, that's not fun. There are a lot of dark news actually. In 2018, you may remember the March for Our Lives. It's the largest student-led protest in history. Millions of students marched to demand gun control after the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. That really sparked a big youth movement as well. It is World Tuberculosis Day. Let's see who was born today. I don't know who this is, but let's learn together. Lawrence Ferlinghetti was born today, the poet and co-founder of City Lights Bookstore. Does anyone know who Lawrence is? I really got some I got some lame trivia for the day. Let's try this. It's National Cheesecake Day. It is National Cocktail Day. It's National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day. So I guess you could have chocolate covered cheesecake, raisin cheesecake. And it is, yeah. Oh, in 1958, on this day, Elvis Presley enlisted in the U.S. Army, March 24th, 1958, which is wild because now I'm realizing we discussed that in the past. We discussed Elvis enlisting in the military. We've been doing this a long time now. And let's see. Oh, in 2002, it was the first time that a Black woman won the Academy Award for Best Actress. Does anyone want to guess who it was? 2002, first Black woman to win an Oscar for Best Actress. Who wants to guess? The movie was Monsters Ball. Yeah, Halle Berry. Good job over on Instagram. We are streaming live on Spotify, Substack, Instagram. Got another Halle Berry over on TikTok. Someone said Oprah. That's I. All right, I'm not quite sure. It is Harry Houdini's birthday today. Steve McQueen, it's his birthday as well. Jessica Chastain and Peyton Manning. Although I feel like we said it was Peyton Manning's birthday already. I don't know. Yeah, good stuff. I'll try to spice up the trivia. I have to be honest with you. The show trivia for today kind of let me down. I think it was like it got lost in the dark black universe of my new beard color. So yeah. We've got just a few stories to talk about today, and they're all really connected to the current chaos that we're going through. I do want to say good morning. Welcome to the Ignition News. And thanks to all the crew over on TikTok who keeps the show running for us every single day. But I do need you to go ahead and follow us over on Spotify or Substack or what? Where else are we? Apple Podcasts as well. I don't know what's going on Substack, so we're just going to have to shut it down for this morning. But let's get into it. So you probably know that DHS is in a partial shutdown since February 14th. That means that TSA agents have been showing up every single day without pay. We know, as we discussed yesterday, that 400 of those TSA officials have quit. And they were not just new hires, by the way. It was a significant number of them have either been there 3+ years or 5+ years, which means that a significant number of experienced TSA agents are actually leaving the force because of this government shutdown. Think of how long it takes to train 400 people in the TSA apparatus and how that's going to affect your safety while you're flying. So something shifted on Monday night. Apparently, there was a White House meeting with Senate Republicans, and there is kind of optimism that they're going to be able to cut through the framework. What they're kind of going for right now is fund all of DHS, TSA, FEMA, and the Coast Guard, but strip out funding for ICE deportation operations. Then Republicans would run a separate bill through reconciliation, which only requires a simple majority to fund ICE enforcement and tack on the Trump the Trump ID legislation, the SAVE Act. So what they're doing is they're pushing the larger budget through the Senate, and then they're doing their little sneak because they're trying to avoid the filibuster is what's happening here. And they're also trying to sneak the SAVE Act in as well. So Republicans are optimistic, but I think it's indicative of what they're willing to do. So the president spent Sunday night on his platform, Truth Social, blowing up these allegations. He demanded that Congress pass the SAVE Act, the voter ID bill, and he said that there would be no deal unless the SAVE Act is passed. So as of Monday night, he appears to have gotten back on with the plan. And whether or not that includes the SAVE Act is to be determined, right? But yeah, so where does that leave us? TSA is still unfunded. At least 400 have quit now. And then while all of these negotiations are moving forward in Washington, something very disturbing was happening at airports across the country. So we have ICE agents now, full body armor, full regalia, being deployed to a dozen airports. Here are some of the airports. JFK, Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta, basically blue cities. We know this pattern, right? 2 Trump administration officials got on national television to explain, as they said, why ICE is there. And they actually gave 2 different answers. This is why we're covering this one today. So, Sean Duffy, he was on an MTV reality show. I forget which one. He said ICE agents know how to run X-ray machines and can perform the same type of screening they do at the southern border. Tom Homan on a different network said ICE agents are not trained to operate security equipment and would not be performing those duties. So that is 2 officials. One is the literal head of the FAA, and the other one is the literal head of the ICE agents in the airport, giving us 2 very contradictory accounts of what they are doing in airports. And I would tell you what this tells me is actually one thing quite simply. It tells me that, candidly, ICE is not there for any security purpose. This is something obviously, I think inherently, this is something instinctually we all know. ICE is not there to do anything related to security. They're there to do what they do every other single day, which is to instill fear into the American people and to normalize the presence of militarized men in our streets, in our airports now, soon in our grocery stores, and guess what? Soon at the polling place. Obviously, the solution here is simple. Pay the TSA. That's the simple solution. However, think of what the president and his minions are able to accomplish with this. By not doing that, by keeping the TSA shut down, they simultaneously can paint the Democrats as having caused this, which, as you know, the Democrats are quite terrible at messaging. And candidly, they're kind of doing a good job of painting this on the Democrats. And second, it allows the following formula. Problem plus X equals ICE. They've created a mathematical formula to expand the president's Gestapo force by creating the problem that they are now introducing. And this is not the first time that they have used this formula. Okay. So in Minneapolis, problem, fraud equals ICE. So they sent ICE after Nick Shirley makes this, crazy video about how there's all this fraud in Minnesota. Now, problem, TSA equals ICE. Soon it will be problem grocery store equals ICE. Soon it will be problem post office equals ICE. Soon it will be problem voting equals ICE. This is the plan. They always forecast their plans. They always tell us. And think about this, if you will. If you are an American citizen and you go to the polling place on November 3rd and you see ICE agents, it is going to be shocking. And it would demand action. Something would probably happen. Something like an immediate challenge, refutation, protest, protective force, all those kinds of things. But if from today until November 3rd, you see ICE agents in more and more places every single day, that becomes normalizing. And you see them doing things like violently arresting, detaining people in the airport. That becomes normalizing. I mean, think of how much we have been normalized to their conduct anyway. Think about how much they have been normalized to what they do every single day. The very fact that we're hiring more ICE agents who are dressed in this military regalia with their guns and their body armor and their SUVs, these are civil infractions. These are essentially parking tickets. And we already know, of course, that it's a lie. They're not apprehending and detaining criminals. They're largely apprehending, detaining nonviolent offenders with paperwork issues, some who are here legally. So if you think that it doesn't go from basically violently detaining and now we know also killing people who have civil infractions that are essentially parking tickets, and then expanding that into violently assaulting people protesting them. These people shot a pastor in the head with a pepper ball gun. Do you remember this? They're normalizing the militarization of the government. They're doing it day by day, place by place, space by space. And they are teaching us through their repeat actions that what ICE says goes. And there are a lot of people who can legally vote. There are a lot of people who can legally vote who simply will not do that if ICE is at the polls. And I'm not the only one who said this, by the way. Steve Bannon himself has said openly that what's happening with the airports is a test run. It's a test run for Election Day. But there are other signs of test runs as well, things that have never happened in the United States of America. The next story, by the way, welcome to the Ignition News. It's great to have you here. If you're just following us on the live show, I would encourage you to please consider following us over on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's important, helps keep the show up and running. I was going to make a beard joke, but I won't. Let's talk about what else is happening that is forecasting what's going on in this country right now. Most media outlets haven't even talked about this, except in little side notes, incidental side notes. Trump's cabinet, the president's cabinet, is actively moving onto military bases. Pam Bondi first. Pam Bondi relocated from her Washington apartment to a military installation, citing, quote, threats from drug cartels. Marco Rubio, a Secretary of State, is also living in military housing behind the security seal. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller has also moved into a military base. Historically, these homes are reserved for senior military officers. That makes sense. Military housing is supposed to be for the military. Keeping them together in a safe, secure place makes sense for the military. There is no precedent in the history of this country for swaths of the president's cabinet to be moving behind and into secure military bases instead of the housing that they already have, which is already provided to them. Salon, there's a person, Chauncey DeVega. He wrote today that this sort of walled city approach mirrors a lot of what is happening in the wider authoritarian project. It's not hyperbolic, of course. This is, as we discussed, a pattern recognition exercise. When civilian leadership retreats behind military gates, it is a signal. It is a signal that these people are separate from the government that they represent. They are separate from the people that they represent. They are not soldiers. They are not military members. They are civilians. Their job is to answer to the public. This is fundamentally anti-democratic. The idea, and let me just say, because the lawyer would like me to remind you that, of course, at the Ignition News, we do not support or endorse any kind of political violence. But I'm simply asking you the question, what signal is the administration saying? Could not the administration also have the moral turpitude? Is that the word, turpitude? I can't, the chemicals from the beard dye got into my brain. I don't know the word. I'm so sorry. Could they not also send the moral signal that they also don't endorse or support violence? Relocating to a military base sends the opposite signal, in my opinion. This is not how a democracy organizes its government. This is what authoritarians do to wall themselves off from the citizens that they represent. And it is not just the military or the government or the war that we're in or ICE. It's also the economy. I wanted to tell you something that I think is kind of like a weird canary in the coal mine. If you have kids, this will certainly resonate. We have a big economic indicator, and it's actually coming from Mario. It's a me, Mario. The economy's a bad. It's a very, very bad. Nintendo is cutting production of the Switch 2. They had planned to manufacture 6 million units. That number is now cut to 4 million units. Oh no! It's a me, Mario. We gotta cut it the Switch. Demand for the product, as well as general economic conditions, have caused demand in the United States specifically to fall well below expectations. The Switch 2 launched, I think, in June, right? At $450. It became the fastest selling console in Nintendo history in its first 6 months. But then the holiday season came, and US families did not have the same kind of economic purchasing power that we have historically had. The Switch 2 sales were down 35% compared to the original Switch at the same time in this life cycle. Hardware sales overall in 2025 hit their lowest in nearly 3 decades. Analysts are, of course, pointing to a couple of factors. We have equipment costs like chips, memory, RAM being absolutely skyrocketed by AI. We have the tariffs. Tariffs significantly increase the cost of the Nintendo Switch 2. And families push back by not buying. And this is what class war actually looks like in practice. If you are a millionaire or a billionaire, the difference between a $450 Switch 2 and a $700 Switch 2 is fundamentally not really something that bothers you at all. But the difference between a $450 Switch 2 and a $700 Switch, I think it's $700 now, that for the working class is literally the difference between can you afford to buy it or can you not afford to buy it? And it's the same administration, of course, that has created these economic conditions. They have created a dramatic slowdown in the economy through tourism. They have created a dramatic slowdown in the economy because of tariffs that were ruled invalid by the Supreme Court. They are making travel seemingly less safe. There was already a plane crash in LaGuardia. We don't know the full details of it, but I have to tell you, I would not be getting on a plane right now. I do not feel safe in Sean Duffy's FAA. And the signal was sent to us right away. 5 days after the president's inauguration, you had this crash with the military helicopter. We're stretching these TSA agents to the brim. 5 weeks without pay. Some of them are doing like gig work on the side just to be able to pay the bills. How can they keep their head in focus? How can they keep their mind in the game when they're working 10 hours a day sometimes without pay? You have air traffic controllers working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. I can't imagine how one that has got to be, first of all, just that job, air traffic control, should be like a 5-hour day, 4-day a week job because it's so stressful. We should treat these people appropriately. Air traffic control, that job we should be giving those people the most benefits, the most favorable working conditions. We should be like giving them all the access to mental health services, not working them 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. Do you see the difference when I talk about class warfare? The wealthy people, they do not have to worry about whether air traffic control has someone call out sick. They don't have to worry about that. Why? Why don't they have to worry about that? Because they fly private jets. They fly private jets that take off at private airports that have millions of dollars of advanced technology on them. They don't actually even need any of this stuff. A lot of the times when these private jets take off and land, they're just doing it on paperwork on the back end. They've got the Starlink, they've got all this technology. They don't need that. They fly lower, they fly faster. They have the little sushi on board. When you get on board, it's so nice. Someone grabs your bag. You're not worried about someone coming on the plane, with the you know, it, yeah, I'm not gonna. We're not gonna. We're not gonna. One thing that bothers me about American air travel is that some people they use the trash bag as their suitcase, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I grew up in a different era, but nonetheless, sometimes you can't afford a suitcase. So I have to understand that not everyone can afford a nice suitcase, and you do with what you can. My point is not about the person who has to use the bag for a suitcase. My point is the billionaires don't have to worry about this. They are fundamentally unaffected. And in many ways, the experience is better for them because if air traffic is slowed down, the airports are slow, the planes aren't taking off, that's just less air traffic for them to have to worry about. That's easier for them to get from Florida to Milan. They don't have to worry about it. So whether it's economic warfare, literal war in Iran, whether it's militarized ICE agents showing up at your house every single day, in your neighborhoods every single day, I think the theme for today is trying to understand exactly that point. It's understanding that you are in a class war right now. The enshittification of everything's getting worse, getting worse, getting worse, getting worse. Can you honestly tell me about a customer service experience that you've had with a company you've been dealing business for a long time? Amazon or Walmart or your cell phone company or your internet provider or a social media provider. Can you honestly tell me that a company where it's gotten better? Like one example. And I'm not talking about the little mom and pop shops. That's fair if you've got that example, but I would tell you that those mom and pop shops are part of the bigger machinery anyway. But the thing that I think people don't realize, the thing that I think we need to start realizing, and it's why I continue to believe that if we could just get the full Epstein files released, people would actually have a revolution. If people understood how much better the 1% is living their life, we would be in the streets every day. Every day. People are we talk about information bubbles. You do not understand how much better the wealthy people in this country are living right now. I occasionally in Las Vegas, I end up in some of these like wealthy HOAs sometimes. These people are not struggling, okay? These people are adding on to their houses. These people are repaving the roads. They're getting new kitchens. They're fixing the outside. These people are putting in new grass, new rocks, new decorations. I've never seen anything like it. If you were to drive in a wealthy community right now, you would have no idea that the United States is facing this unparalleled economic cliff. They're living it up like it's I don't even know how to tell. I don't even know how to describe this to you. They're gorging on their massive amounts of wealth right now. You would not believe how well they are living right now. There's this community I go into, Las Vegas, that's so wealthy. They have like five, six, $20 million homes. Like that's the average home price is like $6, $7 million at least. But that's kind of like the starter home, That's the starter home. Like, oh yeah, don't go to that. Ew, they just got one of the. They only have a $6 million house. Oh, okay, look the other way. Hold on to your purse. But just I want to point out that in these communities with the $6 million homes, the $20 million homes, the $40 million homes, this is a very good point. I'm rambling, but they have guards at the front, right? They have a gated guards, security. They have firearms. You try to get in, I don't know if they would shoot you, but they have guns. Okay. So you have that. And then you get into the communities. And the rich people also have gates in their own guard gated communities. They don't even trust each other. Do you see my point here? They've got they pay 5, 6, 7 people to stand at a gate on both ends of their community because they're so afraid of, the riffraff getting into their golf course, dropping what's it called? It's not called Sierra Mist anymore. Dropping a Sierra Mist bottle. I don't know what it's called. Starry. Dropping a Starry bottle on the ground. Or God forbid a black person get into their community. That would be outrageous. Unless it's an NFL player, of course, who has the $40 million house. That's okay. We like to watch football. My point is, they changed my AI banner. That's interesting. My point is, these people are in their own economic warfare as well. They gate themselves off from each other in a multi-million-dollar community. But they're fucking living it up right now. You have no idea how much they are living it up right now. And I think if people really started to open their eyes, if they really started to see, oh my God, $50 million house, you're redoing, you're putting a imported Japanese fountain in front of your house right now. That fountain costs more than it's going to cost you to send your kid to college. And it's not even a scratch. It's not even a dent. And they probably found some scammy way to write it off on their taxes too, by the way. Robert says, the 1% are trying to sow divide so we don't realize we are stronger together. Exactly. But it's not just about realizing that we're stronger together. It's about fundamentally opening your eyes to the class struggle. Because the funny thing is, I think that there's a lot of people out there. Yeah, I'm ranting. I'll finish, I promise. There's a lot of people out there who make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, who have a lot of access to power, but who have tricked themselves into thinking that they have more power than the person working at the gas station, or that because they're making more money than the person working at the grocery store, that they are not technically in the working class. No. I do not bag groceries. I am a real estate agent. No. I do not clean toilets. I'm a financial advisor. No. I do not sweep floors. I am a consultant. I am a software engineer. I am not the working class. I am the professional class. And those are actually the people that do the most harm to the working class. And what they don't realize is in the ladder of succession, they are actually next up. It's going to take a lot longer to get the robot to figure out how to clean the toilet. They will eventually figure that out. They're getting actually very close to that. But it's going to take a lot longer to where they can trust the robot to check ID at the grocery store. It's going to take a lot longer to get the robot to work at the gas station. They will do that. But the AI and the automation, that is coming for you, Mr. Real Estate Agent, Mr. Software Engineer. If you people making $400,000, $500,000 a year making software coding, you haven't figured out that they are actively working to completely gut your industry, and they're doing a really good job, and it's actually working a lot better than paying you $500,000 a year to code, you think that you're not in the working class? You think that you are not at risk? What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you are unemployable? Because no one would dream of paying you $400,000 to do something that Claude can do for $40. No one is going to hire you. No one. Oh, but you know what? At least you're not bagging groceries, right? Those stupid grocery baggers, they should have figured out how to go to college. That's what they say. I'm sorry if you don't want to acknowledge that, I can't help you. That's how they talk about us. That is how they talk about us. That's how they talk about the people who are in their own class. And it's very sad because they are a little bit closer to power. They're a little bit closer to access. They're a little bit closer to being able to push back. And they could be the most effective ally to ending all of this madness. But they do got to go to Cabo next summer or next spring. So, priorities. Listen, what do we do with all of this information? How do we handle this? Well, we have to start opening up our eyes. We have to start engaging with and having exactly these kinds of conversations. We have to be brave enough to accept that the people who despise us are actually in the same class as us. And we have to realize and be the better person. Because at the end of the day, the ladder is coming for us all. And if you think, oh, I'm going to look the other way because they make $400,000 a year and they don't think I'm a real person, well, every step down the ladder that the machine, the billionaires, artificial intelligence, every step that they get down the ladder, they simply become more powerful. They simply become quicker. So you need to be comfortable having these conversations. But we already know that you're smart because you follow us here on the Ignition News. As a quick reminder and a quick ask, please do consider following the show on your favorite podcast platform like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It does matter. Please leave a comment on those platforms. I'm not sure what happened with Substack, but I will figure it out for tomorrow. I appreciate you, everybody. That's the show. It's March 24th, 2026. Strength, solidarity, no more beard jokes. That's the show.